Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we unpack complex topics and really get to the bottom of things. Today we're taking a deep dive into ARM Holdings. A company that you might not recognize by name, but whose technology you almost certainly use every day.
That's right. ARM Holdings is essentially designing the fundamental building blocks of the chips that power so much of our digital world. Everything from the smartphones that we carry around in our pockets to the servers that are housed in these giant data centers.
And what really sets ARM apart is its business model, right? They don't actually manufacture chips themselves. Instead, what they do is they license out their designs, their intellectual property, to this vast network of partners. And those partners are the ones who actually incorporate those designs into their own products.
Exactly. And that approach has allowed ARM to achieve this remarkable level of scale and reach. We're talking about their technology being present in billions of devices all around the world, making them, really a dominant force in the entire semiconductor industry.
So let's start, I guess, with a little bit of a history lesson here. ARM, the company, was founded back in 1990 as a joint venture between Acorn Computers, Apple, and VLSI Technology.
Yeah, and in those early years, ARM was really focused on designing processors for desktop computers. But then a key turning point came when they kind of shifted their focus over to these embedded systems, right? And those are the specialized chips that are designed for kind of specific tasks. And they're integrated into this really wide range of devices.
And that strategic move, along with just the massive explosion of the smartphone market, really kind of propelled ARM to, where they are today, this position of dominance that we were just talking about. And, their energy-efficient designs really proved to be a perfect fit for the power constraints, obviously, of these mobile devices.
Totally. And, along the way, there have been some major events that have really shaped ARM's trajectory. Back in 2016, they were acquired by the Japanese tech giant SoftBank. And then in 2020, we saw that really high-profile but ultimately unsuccessful attempt by NVIDIA to acquire them.
Right. And then more recently, just last year, ARM went public with an IPO on the NASDAQ, and they reached a valuation of $54.5 billion,
Yeah.
which is just mind-blowing.
Absolutely. So I think now it's time to kind of delve into ARM's financial performance, which is, of course, a very important aspect to consider when you're evaluating, any potential investment.
For sure. So looking at their numbers from 2024, we see that ARM generated $3.23 billion in revenue.
Yeah.
And they also achieved an operating income of $111 million
Oh.
and a net income of $306 million.
Yeah. Those are really solid numbers. But investors, of course, are always trying to, look ahead, trying to gauge future performance. And analysts who were surveyed by TipRanks, they've actually set an average 12-month price target of $154.60. So that would suggest an 8.26% potential upside from, where the price is currently.
That sounds pretty promising, but I guess as with any forecast, there's always a range of opinions.
Right. Oh, yeah, for sure. The analyst price targets for ARM, they actually range from a high of $180 all the way down to $100. So that definitely, I think, indicates a little bit of uncertainty about the company's future prospects.
Yeah, okay. Well, to understand, I guess, those prospects better, let's take a closer look at ARM's market share and overall economic impact. I mean, it's pretty clear that ARM's dominance in the smartphone market is, undeniable. Virtually every smartphone that you see these days uses an ARM-based processor. But their reach kind of extends far beyond just smartphones.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, you're talking about ARM-based processors being found in like such a wide range of devices. Like they're in the embedded systems that control everything from like your car's engine to, even your appliances at home. They're in the servers that are handling like massive amounts of data. And they're even being used in like supercomputers that are really pushing the boundaries of like scientific research.
Yeah. So I guess this widespread adoption of ARM is really driven by several factors, right? I mean, including their reputation for, performance, reliability, and of course, energy efficiency, which, like we said, their designs are really well suited for a world that's, more and more focused on sustainability and reducing energy consumption.
For sure, yeah. And ARM's commitment to those energy efficient designs, it has, significant economic implications as well. It's helping to reduce, the overall energy footprint of billions of devices. And that translates into cost savings for consumers and businesses.
So, all of this brings us to, I guess, another critical aspect of the ARM story, right? Their innovation pipeline. What are they doing to stay ahead of the curve in this rapidly evolving technological landscape?
Well, ARM is definitely not resting on their laurels. I mean, they're continuing to develop, new CPU cores across various lines. They have the Neoverse line, which is really aimed at like infrastructure. You've got the Cortex A line, which is kind of for high performance applications, Cortex R for real-time systems, and Cortex M for microcontrollers.
So this diverse portfolio of CPU cores really allows them to cater to a wide range of computing needs, I guess, from, like you said, the smallest sensors to the most powerful servers. And they're not just innovating, in CPUs.
Right, exactly. So they've also developed their own line of GPUs, the Immortalis series. And these are designed to really compete with some of the giants in the industry, like NVIDIA, AMD, and Qualcomm. And they feature these advanced capabilities like hardware-based ray tracing. And that's what allows for, the more realistic lighting and reflections that you see in graphics, pushing the boundaries of, visual fidelity in games and other applications.
And then there's also their Ethos NPUs, which are neural processing units. So these are specifically designed for AI applications. And, these specialized chips are playing a huge role in enabling, AI capabilities. And they're across a whole range of devices, right? From smartphones and smart speakers to like industrial robots and even self-driving cars.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think it's clear that ARM's innovation pipeline reflects this strong commitment to pushing the boundaries of technology, right? And, they're addressing the evolving needs of this market.
So we've definitely covered a lot of ground already. We've talked about ARM's history, their financial performance, their market share, their economic impact, and their innovation pipeline.
Right. But to fully assess ARM's potential as an investment, we need to go even deeper. We need to look at some of their more recent acquisitions and really try to understand how those moves are shaping their future. And we also need to examine their services business because that actually represents a really important part of their overall strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll explore all of that and a lot more in the next part of our deep dive into ARM Holdings. So stay with us.
I think when we look at ARM's recent acquisitions, it gives us a lot of insight into their strategic direction. So, one example is their acquisition of Treasure Data,
Hmm.
and that's a company that specializes in, enterprise data management.
Right. And I think that move really signals their interest in the world of, big data and analytics, which is obviously very closely tied to the future of AI. So by incorporating Treasure Data's expertise, ARM is really positioning themselves to provide, very comprehensive solutions for managing and analyzing these vast amounts of data that are being generated by all these AI-powered systems.
Yeah, for sure. And their acquisition of Apical, which is a company focused on imaging and computer vision, it further kind of highlights that. Apical's technology is really at the forefront of visual AI. So that's enabling things like facial recognition, object detection, augmented realities.
So it sounds like ARM isn't just content with being the brains of our devices. They're also looking to be the eyes, I guess.
Exactly. And they're not stopping there. So, their acquisition of Alinea Software, a developer of tools for high-performance computing, it shows their commitment to the server and supercomputer markets. And these are the tools that are really essential for researchers and engineers who are working on, these really complex simulations and these, data-intensive applications.
So it's clear that ARM is building, a really diverse portfolio that goes way beyond just chip design. They're creating an entire ecosystem of technologies that are designed to work together seamlessly.
Yeah.
And all of that is to enable this huge range of applications.
Yeah. And their services business is a key part of that whole strategy. So they're not just providing the hardware building blocks, but they're also offering the software tools and platforms that developers need to create and deploy applications for, all of these ARM-based devices.
Right. And I think one area where that's really obvious is in the Internet of Things, or IoT.
Yeah.
ARM is super involved in this rapidly growing field through their Embed OS and Pelion platforms.
Yeah, so Embed OS is an open source operating system that's designed for, the resource constrained environments that you find in IoT devices. And it really provides this secure and reliable foundation for connecting and managing, billions of devices.
And then Pelion is an IoT platform that allows businesses to connect, manage, and analyze all the data from their IoT devices. So it gives them the tools and services they need to, build and deploy these scalable IoT solutions across, so many different industries.
Right. So by combining their expertise in, chip design with all these software and services offerings, ARM is positioning themselves as, a one-stop shop for everything in the IoT world. And we know that's a market with, just immense growth potential.
And, earlier we were talking about the analyst forecasts for ARM's stock price.
Hmm.
And they were generally positive, but, like we said, with a range of opinions. And it's really important to remember that, these are just forecasts. They're based on a bunch of different factors and assumptions.
Right, exactly. Like the actual stock price, it can change so much based on, just a whole bunch of unpredictable things that could happen. You've got factors like global economic conditions, industry trends, what the competition is doing, and even, geopolitical events. All of that stuff can have a huge impact on a company's stock performance.
Yeah. I mean, it's crucial to do your own research. Think about your own, financial goals and really talk to like a financial advisor before you make any, big investment decisions. We all know that past performance isn't always a guarantee of future returns.
Absolutely. And speaking of financial decisions, I think we should talk about ARM Holdings' dividend policy and their share buyback programs.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the information that we have doesn't actually give us any specifics about their current dividend policy or any existing share buyback programs.
Right. So this is something that you'd really want to look into further, especially if those factors are important for your, investment strategy. And you can often find that kind of information, on a company's investor relations website
Yeah.
or even in their, financial filings.
So while we've, gained a really comprehensive understanding of ARM Holdings, their business, their financial performance, and their future prospects, there's still that little bit of a mystery around their, dividend policy and their share buyback programs.
Right. But even without, those specific details, we've learned a ton about ARM Holdings. We've looked at their history, their dominant position in the market, their really ambitious innovation pipeline, their strategic acquisitions, and their expanding services business.
Yeah, and it's clear that they're really shaping the future of technology. I mean, in some really profound ways. They're not just designing the chips that power all these devices. They're literally building the foundation for a world where, billions of devices are all interconnected and intelligent and energy efficient.
For sure. And, as we start wrapping up our deep dive into ARM Holdings, we want to leave you with some things to think about. Given their energy efficient designs and their commitment to research in, sustainable computing, what kind of impact will they have on the global effort to address, climate change?
And how will their growing role in, enabling all this AI stuff across such a huge network of devices, how will that impact different industries and even our daily lives? These are big questions, and, they're going to continue to evolve over the coming years.
Yeah, it really is fascinating to think about, like all the ripple effects of a company like ARM Holdings. Their technology is so deeply embedded in like our entire digital world that it's easy to kind of overlook how important it really is.
Right. But when you step back and you consider the massive scale, billions of devices powered by their designs, you start to realize that ARM is playing a like truly pivotal role in shaping, the entire technological landscape. Yeah, and like we've been saying, they're not just, sitting back and responding to these market trends. They're really actively driving innovation,
Yeah.
pushing the boundaries of what's possible in, AI, the Internet of Things, and sustainable computing.
And you can like really see that forward-thinking approach reflected in their strategic acquisitions, their expanding services business, and just their commitment to like R&D in general.
Okay, so I think it's time to circle back to that question we had at the beginning.
Right. Is ARM Holdings a good fit for your portfolio?
We spent this whole episode exploring, their history, their financial performance, their market dominance, their innovation pipeline, and their future prospects. And we also talked about some of the, the potential risks and uncertainties that investors should be thinking about.
Yeah, at the end of the day, the decision of whether or not to invest in ARM Holdings is, it's a personal one. It really depends on your own individual investment goals, your risk tolerance, and, what your overall investment strategy looks like.
And we really hope that this deep dive has, given you the information and the insights that you need to make a smart decision.
If you're looking for a company with a proven track record of innovation, a dominant market position, and a real commitment to shaping the future of technology, ARM Holdings is definitely worth, at least considering.
But if you're, someone who's looking for a company with a long history of paying dividends or, a solid share buyback program, you probably need to like do some more research.
Yeah.
Just to, to see if ARM aligns with your specific criteria.
And like with any investment, it's crucial to, weigh the potential rewards against the potential risks and really make sure that you're making a decision that makes sense for you. and your circumstances.
We always encourage our listeners to keep digging into companies like ARM Holdings and to see if it fits with your own personal investment philosophy and your vision for the future.
And if you're interested in learning more about these kinds of companies that are really shaping the tech landscape, we'd love for you to check out our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and let us know what you think about ARM Holdings. Leave us a comment on YouTube, and be sure to tell us what other stocks you'd like us to deep dive into in the future.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of ARM Holdings. And until next time, keep learning, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep.